What is up, guys? My name is Harry Rice. Welcome back to the channel. Today is a brand new video in 25 Days of Harry. As you could probably tell, I'm not alone in this video, nor am I on screen. That is right. I have a special guest this video, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. Why don't you go ahead and do that, Mr. Special Guest?
Hi guys, my name is DdtRegulator. I've been a long friend of Harry Rice, and me and him both met through WWE. I found him streaming WWE 2K16 one day on Twitch and decided to message him, and that's basically how our whole friendship kicked off back in 2017. And this whole video is gonna be talking about exactly that: is our histories as wrestling fans. And yeah, I mean, you want to start it off, man?
Yeah, sure thing, man. Thank you for introducing the topic of today's video, by the way. Thank you for that. That sounded very professional.
I got you. I got you.
For those who do not know, I don't know if you want me to say this, but you can cut it out, or I can cut it out if you want. Topics we're going to be talking about is what got us into wrestling, our favorite wrestlers, our favorite matches, favorite promos, and our favorite storyline in the last 10 years of wrestling. Why 10 years? Because numerals are good and fun. Don't forget that, kids. Stay in school. But how I
You have such a way with words.
Thank you very much, Mr. DDT. Thank you very much. So how I got into wrestling, how a lot of people now I'm remembering the way I first phrased this. So how I first got into wrestling, it was actually, I remember it was spring of 2012. I don't remember exactly what month. It was in the build-up to No Way Out 2012. I don't remember if it was May or June. It might have been June. But I was downstairs. I came upstairs. My sister was watching Monday Night Raw. It was on a replay the next day on a Tuesday. Came up, and it was a promo between John Cena and John Laurinaitis. And something about it just intrigued me. It got me interested in watching why were these two men screaming at each other from a ramp and inside of a big square thing, because I didn't know what a wrestling ring was at the time. And so I started to follow it a little bit more. I found out, John Laurinaitis was the character of an evil heel GM, and John Cena was the big good guy superhero of the WWE. And eventually, I didn't watch pay-per-views or Raw or SmackDown. I would just read up what happened the next day. But then, for some reason, something happened in the next month, July of 2012. July 15th, 2012 to be exact, the date of Money in the Bank 2012. I was invited over to my grandfather's house because he was ordering the pay-per-view. And I was starting to get into wrestling at this time, like big time, like starting to watch a little bit of Raw here and there. And I was invited over, come over, watch Money in the Bank. I get explained the matches and what's going on with the stories. And it just hooked me instantly. Watching wrestling, that Money in the Bank 2012, when John Cena won Money in the Bank, The Miz returned after leaving to film one of the Marine movies. And from there, it just became, I was hooked for that night. Then on Raw 1000, July 23rd, 2012, that is what got me into wrestling. I was watching Raw 1000 in my bedroom, and I just remember watching Raw 1000 and being amazed at everything I was seeing, all these legends in wrestling that were proclaimed legends by WWE on Raw 1000. And from there, I would just watch Raw every week, watch SmackDown here and there. I could not miss an episode of Raw. I could not miss a pay-per-view. I would start watching them. I would start trying to order the pay-per-views to no avail. So I had to look up the results the next night before Raw. And once we eventually got the WWE Network, I was able to watch pay-per-views whenever. And I was super excited about that. And it just kept going and going until 2017, 2018. I was coming off kind of a wrestling fatigue. In 2017, I had a bit of a downward spiral in terms of wrestling. That's when it really started. It was WrestleMania 33. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Mania 33. But something after that, I just started to have a very fatigued look at wrestling, I would watch it. I would watch the pay-per-views. I would try and watch Raw occasionally. However, from after WrestleMania 33, I just started to feel not necessarily bitter, but more just kind of getting out of it. And then in 2018, Mania 34, when Roman Reigns beat the Undertaker, that kind of solidified, like, yeah, I'm really getting out of wrestling. I watched Raw after Mania, and that was just about it. I'd watch Raws here and there. I would maybe watch the pay-per-views occasionally if I could, or if I was really interested in it. And then I was just starting to slide out of it. 2019, I only watched the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. I had maybe tuned into Raws once in a while. I'd mostly watch Good Mike Works reactions to Monday Night Raw. And then 2020 so far, I've been out of the loop almost entirely. I watched the Rumble, I watched Mania, and that was pretty much it. I watched those shows, nothing afterwards pretty much, and just my interest in WWE has almost completely stalled aside from the video games, which I still play because it's not current WWE and I can still find entertainment in those. So I'm going to throw it over to Mr. DDT now. I'm going to let him explain his side of being a wrestling fan. And then we'll get into some more fun stuff after we explain our histories and the inevitable downfalls.
So my history as a wrestling fan, it started back in 2011 when I just went in the living room and my dad was watching Raw. And it was the same Raw where Edge had announced his retirement. And at the time, I had zero idea who Edge was, and I could care less, too. I just saw him, and I was like, oh, he's retiring, and I got really sad. And I asked my dad, hey, Dad, can we watch that Monday Raw thing, again? And after that, it just became a weekly thing. And that's the earliest memory I have of, like, actually getting interested in wrestling. But when I really started getting active into becoming a fan was in late 2012, October 2012, when it was Ryback and CM Punk's whole feud that was pretty mediocre. But at the time, I thought it was great. I thought it was amazing. I enjoyed it, every bit of it. And I was getting upset that Ryback kept losing. And because, I mean, as a kid, you thought wrestling was real. So I didn't know that it was all fake, so I was getting upset that no one was calling Punk out on his cheap wins, but we moved on from that. It was really 2014 was the peak of my interest of being a wrestling fan, because that's when I got my own laptop and my first like actual phone, so I was able to actually do research on the past product on what it used to be, who other wrestlers were. I got to look up other promotions and did a lot of research with it. And that was the same year where Daniel Bryan was rising to the top through fan demand and had one of the greatest manias that I watched live. And it was just a great experience. I mean, I always loved wrestling and I was always a fan of it, like the storytelling and just the matches were for the most part exciting to watch. It was just around 2015 or 2016 was when I really started losing interest. Just the fans at live audiences, all that just didn't have the same energy. Crowd pops would last for a good 3 seconds before it died down to just murmuring. And then the storylines just weren't interesting anymore. And I gradually watched less and less. And with Roman being pushed to the fucking moon, it didn't help the case because nobody really wanted to watch him. Nobody. He was hated so much. And WWE never listened to the fans. And they, for the most part, still aren't. Hopefully that'll change soon with their new record low ratings, but 2017 was really the downfall. I mean, I never really played many WWE games as a kid. The one I played the most was probably WWE All Stars, which was stupid, but it was so fun. And I played 2K18 with Harry here when it came out. Got it for Christmas, and I shoved it in his face because I got to play a day before he did. It was always a lot of fun. He was so mad.
I looked.
And so, as a wrestling fan, it really just was from 2012 to 2016 or so. But within that time, you could do a lot of research, and my favorite era is not even close to what we've recently witnessed. Not at all. So, with all that being said, I mean, why don't we just talk about our favorite match? You want to go first and talk about your favorite match, Harry?
Sure thing, Mr. DDT. I'll take it away from here for favorite match opening up. For me, my favorite match is one before I even started watching wrestling, and this one for me, it's really not close personally. This is one of the first matches I ever actually watched when I started getting into wrestling, and for me, the storyline building up to this match is fantastic. The match itself is really, really damn good. Obviously, if it's my favorite, it has to be pretty good. But that match is Triple H versus The Undertaker, WrestleMania 28, inside the Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee. The entire match is fantastic. The storyline surrounding Shawn Michaels having faced against The Undertaker and losing both times, at least in the recent years up to this Mania. Triple H being the only man walking away at WrestleMania 27, Taker having to be stretchered out, and the build up to this match as the end of an era is fantastic. This match is amazing, and it's not just because of the entire match. One spot puts it above, puts it as the greatest match in my opinion, and that spot is when Shawn Michaels and Triple H, they're in kind of in one corner. They used to be DX, but they're almost in one corner together. And Taker is obviously he's going at it with Triple H, and then all of a sudden Shawn Michaels hits a sweet chin music, turned over right into a pedigree by Triple H, and just the way the crowd I think makes this what it is. The crowd was so loud during this. They didn't know what to think of this. Jim Ross being on commentary is going ballistic for this. Triple H hits the pedigree, rolls over the Undertaker into the pinfall. There's a 1, there's a 2, and right as Shawn is about to hit the mat for the 3 count, the Undertaker kicks out, and the crowd, I can't even begin to describe it. The crowd in that match is better than any other match I've heard. It was in Miami, so there was a lot of drunk people that were just screaming to be screaming. but the fact that there was 70,000 people in that stadium screaming for the Undertaker kicking out and keeping his streak alive after not only a sweet chin music but also a pedigree. Even if it is scripted and it was supposed to happen, it is the best bit of storytelling. Those 15 seconds in any match that I know of, in my opinion. So Mr. DT, I don't know if you want to comment on that or get right into your favorite match, but that's what I gotta say about that. My favorite match.
Well, I might as well comment on it because I mean, you just kind of took the words out my mouth. I mean, that's one of probably, if not my favorite match I've ever seen. And I mean, you already described the spot. I don't have to say it again, but it's just regardless of the fact it's scripted, it's knowing the outcome now. It of course it's he's gonna kick out. We know the Undertaker won, but at the time when his streak was legitimately kind of you don't know if it's actually going to end this year or not, because the entire buildup between him and Shawn Michaels. I mean, Shawn Michaels being one of the most legendary wrestlers, having his career on the line against the Undertaker's streak. You kind of wanted Taker's streak to end because you couldn't imagine just not seeing Michaels wrestle anymore. But Michaels being retired by the Undertaker, and then his best friend going against the Undertaker 2 years in a row, and then in a Hell in a Cell, and having Michaels as the guest referee, This is 20 minutes into the match, mind you. They're fatigued, tired, and hitting two finishers back to back like that, getting so close. The crowd is erupting. It's to the point where if Sean had made the 3 count, I think the crowd would have just screamed louder, and I don't think it would have been dead silent shock value. I think people would still be losing their mind, because I think that would have been a good spot for the streak to have ended, rather than having it end 2 years later. Because it's just, with the history of those 3 men as competitors, I think it just would have fit the bill better, especially with it being billed as an end of an era match. I think it just would have been a more fitting conclusion. I mean, Michaels was already retired. There was like, having Taker retire then wouldn't have been a bad thing. And Triple H was, I mean, he did wrestle a few more matches, but he could have also retired there. He was starting to get into a CEO gimmick a lot more, and he cut his hair short after. So, if all of them had just kind of just stopped wrestling after that match, especially after an Undertaker loss, I think that would have been a good end to all of their careers. It would have all been on a great note at one of the best, if not the best match of all time. But there is a really good contender for favorite match, and it also involves Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell, and that's Mankind versus Undertaker at King of the Ring 1998 in Hell in a Cell, being probably the most infamous wrestling match of all time within any company. It's just, this match. If you've just been a wrestling fan for even a week, you know about the match. Just the incredible bumps and spots that are taken within the match, of Mankind being tossed off the cell, going through an announce table, or being stretchered out until he gets up off the stretcher with a dislocated shoulder, climbs up the cage just to get chokeslammed through the cage and get knocked out by a chair and get a concussion. And he's laying there, and they continue the match still by getting body slammed on a thumbtacks. And that's just one of the most, it is just the most infamous match you can just think of with wrestling. Like, you say the match, Mankind and Undertaker, even if you just say Hell in a Cell 98, go on Google, type in Hell in a Cell 1998, you will get King of the Ring 1998. Guaranteed. It's just, you just can't call yourself a wrestling fan and not give respect to that match. It's a match that's always looked up to. There does come a downside with it, being that Mankind and Undertaker, if asked about the match, that's really what a lot of people who aren't hardcore wrestling fans always ask about. They always ask about that match and whether going through the cage was planned or anything like that. And I'm sure it gets tiring, and Mankind himself said he wants to be known for more than just that one match. But it really does show just how much of an impact that had on the wrestling scene, especially when it was getting into the height of wrestling as a whole.
Couldn't have put it any better, Mr. DDT. Couldn't have put it any better at all.
Right. So, you want to talk about favorite wrestler now?
Yeah, I think we can talk about favorite wrestler. And since I've started the last two, how about you open us up with this one, sir?
All right. I mean, I'll gladly take that honor. We're discussing my favorite wrestler. I mean, for me, it's kind of an easy pick. I mean, it doesn't even I really didn't take anyone else into consideration, just because this guy just stuck out to me more than anyone else as just a complete badass. Someone who is always good on the mic, who just always erupted the crowd. Just everybody loved him. Even when he was heel, it was hard to get heat for him. And it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, of course, probably the biggest draw in WWE, if not just wrestling as a whole. I mean, this guy drew so much money, and his mic work combined with his just lack of caring of authority. The man did what he wanted on his terms, and if you went against him, he just put a finger in your face and gave you a stunner. He just didn't. I mean, he's called a rattlesnake for a reason. He didn't really fucking, especially Vince McMahon. I mean, there was no point he really trusted Vince. If we're just talking about 98, 99, pretty much the pinnacle of this guy. I mean, he was involved in probably the most infamous Monday Night Raw moment, which was Mankind winning the WWF Championship for the first time. And all hell's breaking loose. Mankind is getting jumped in the ring, and then DX is helping him out. And then you just hear the glass shatter. Stone Cold just walks out, and the crowd gives off probably the biggest pop in wrestling history within the company, and just gives a steel chair to Rock's head, and 1, 2, 3, new champion. And it's just such a good moment, because not only did it, of course, everybody knows the 600,000 people who changed channels from WCW to WWF. It's just the 3 top guys were in the ring at the same time, and high respect to all of them. Put on probably the best ending to a Raw ever, with the energy and electricity that was in that crowd, in that arena. It's unmatched. And of course, it was just, the storyline was great between Mankind and Rock, and Vince just being a total dick like normal. But it was really enhanced by hearing the glass shatter and hearing Stone Cold come out to go help out the complete underdog everybody wanted to win. And Stone Cold, just as a whole, was always a more relatable to me than any other wrestler I saw, because he just didn't give a fuck, and he was cool. He was cool about it. He wasn't. You couldn't just see him do all that and not like him. And for those reasons, he's just my favorite. I mean, it just kind of goes without saying. He's not even contested by anybody. That's my favorite wrestler.
Very, very well put, Mr. DDT. I think that's probably the best way to put Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think you've done a very good job representing Mr. Austin. However, I have to politely disagree on who the best wrestler is. In terms of favorites, in terms of my favorite, your favorite is Stone Cold. My favorite is a guy Stone Cold has gone up against occasionally. My favorite wrestler of all time, I believe, has beaten Mr. Austin a few times. My favorite wrestler of all time is a guy who, just like Austin, is quite limited within the ring. However, it doesn't stop him from putting on classic match after classic match after iconic match. This wrestler is very solid on the mic at times. However, the best thing about this wrestler isn't his mic skills or his in-ring ability. It's the presence he puts in a locker room, the fear he puts in guys' hearts when he steps into the locker room. My favorite wrestler of all time is The Undertaker. And The Undertaker is a guy that no matter what era he's wrestling in, you will never see anyone saying a bad thing about The Undertaker. He is an absolute icon in the wrestling business in WWE. And the fact that The Undertaker, this gimmick would not have worked if not for Mark Calaway. You give the gimmick to anyone else and it falls completely flat. Mark Calaway took The Undertaker and he ran with it, and he made it what the character is today. And the character of The Undertaker, who unfortunately just recently retired at the Survivor Series 2020, 30 years after debuting, The Undertaker from 1990 to 2020 has been so iconic, and nothing can even stop his run. Every time he comes out, big pop after big pop after big pop. Everybody loves The Undertaker. All you need is the gong going off, and people know it's The Undertaker. All you need is the gong to recognize The Undertaker, just like with the glass shattering with Stone Cold, all you need is one small sound to get you pumped up for this wrestler. The Undertaker, who obviously was in both of our favorite matches, is just a guy that I can watch just about any match of his, be it all of his Undertaker Randy Orton matches, Austin Taker, some of their matches, Undertaker Triple H, Shawn Michaels. You put him in the ring with just about anyone and he will give them a good match. At least it seems 2000 onwards.
Goldberg.
Yeah, we don't bring up that match. Thank you very much. But the Undertaker is the biggest icon, I would argue, in the history of wrestling. He has left the most impact on this business. He will greatly be missed as a character, and the Undertaker, I don't think I even needed to go on this long about why he's my favorite, but he is simply my favorite just because of all of those reasons. He pumps the crowd up. He has great matches with just about anyone. Undertaker Randy Orton, the casket match at No Mercy 2005 was a very close contender for my favorite match of all time. And the Undertaker,
he's also involved in quite possibly, like, most people regard his match between Shawn Michaels and Mania 25 as the best Mania match of all time. And a lot of matches that people consider their favorite or the best, especially at Mania, usually involve the Undertaker. The guy, I mean, to give more respect to his work ethic, just as I mentioned, King of the Ring 98, he wrestled that entire match on a broken foot. So it just really shows you just how much he cares about the business. And you can't deny that Undertaker is probably just the most respected guy to have ever been in the locker room or walked into that ring. Nobody can say a bad thing about him. I haven't heard anybody say anything about him.
Nobody. And to show the amount of respect that the Undertaker has, CM Punk, Randy Orton, Kurt Angle, Mark Henry, Batista, and even I believe even Edge, they've all been asked to end the streak just from WrestleMania 21 all the way up to Mania 25. All of these guys have been asked to end the streak, and all of them have refused. That is how much they respect.
Even Brock Lesnar, the guy who did end the streak, he wanted to not do it. The only reason it happened was because the higher-ups had already made their decision.
Yep.
And to add more context to Randy Orton refusing, he really refused. I heard that he actually threatened to no-show Mania if they had made him end the streak.
Yeah,
so
I heard that as well.
This just shows how much respect they have for Taker. I mean, especially his streak had a lot of respect too when it was still ongoing. It just had such a mystique about it. It's almost like you only watched Mania to see his streak prolong, but see how good the match was, how close it was to ending, but for it to never really end. And once it did end, I mean, it was a moment that no one will ever forget, but I think it would have been better had they left it alone. Because I personally don't think Brock had to end it. He was already billed as a monster. I don't think he had to beat the streak to get any recognition, but
no one had to.
I mean, higher ups wanted what they wanted.
And they've proven time and time again they don't know what they're talking about. So now with that, I'm not sure if you want to discuss favorite wrestler any further, or if you'd like to move on to our next topic, which I'll let you introduce if you do want to move on.
I'd be happy to. Just as we've been discussing our favorite wrestler or whether they have good mic skills or not, that's actually what this next topic is about to be about. We're going to really discuss what our favorite promo was, whether it be a promo to actually promote a match or just a promo that was really good at making you be invested, whether you really wanted, you liked the guy talking, liked what he said, or he was just really good at being an asshole and getting heat from the fans. So, I mean, with all due respect, I think I should let you do this. I mean, you liked promos more than me.
That is true. I have liked a lot of promos in my day of watching wrestling. So with me, it's going to be a bit of a controversial choice. I think a lot of people are going to wonder why I have this one as my favorite promo. However, I will obviously give reasons, because I'm not just going to say the promo then throw it to DDT. I will give my own reasonings. My favorite promo is Roman Reigns, the Raw after WrestleMania after beating The Undertaker. All right, okay, no, I'm. There's no way in hell I was being serious about that. My actual favorite promo of all time is from a guy that we've not spent too much time talking about, aside from favorite match. However, this is in a place that is very controversial when you talk wrestling and this location. My favorite promo is Shawn Michaels in Montreal on Raw in 2005. This promo is how you get heel heat. This promo works too well. The second Shawn Michaels comes out, the crowd is booing him. And it only gets worse. Shawn Michaels taunts and taunts and taunts Montreal, and every second of it is beautiful. It really reaches its pinnacle, though, when Shawn Michaels mentions Bret Hart and the Montreal Screwjob. The crowd is chanting, "You screwed Bret, you screwed Bret." Hebner, I believe, as well. And then all of a sudden, Bret Hart's music plays. And I don't know if we're going to be able to show this or let you hear this, but the way the crowd sounds after Bret's music hits, it goes on for 30 or so seconds, slows down, and then Shawn Michaels just got your hopes up just a little bit, didn't I? The way he says that and the boos that follow make this the greatest promo I've ever heard. And the fact that it even does end up building up to Shawn and Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam 2005. This is just this is the greatest promo I've ever heard personally, and it is also my favorite. So I can't really speak too much about this one. Shawn Michaels just plays a dick so well on TV when he was a heel, and even when he wasn't at some points. But Shawn with this promo just shows everybody, whether it's CM Punk, The Miz, John Morrison, whoever is a heel at this point, Roman Reigns even, this is how you do a heel promo. This is how you get heel heat in front of a crowd and how you do it properly. Mr. DT, I'll take it off to you if you want to comment any further on this or give your own favorite promo, but I think that's all I got to say on that promo.
As much as I respect your decision, because I'll give you it, that promo is just fantastic. It's, of course, up there as one of my favorites. It's probably my favorite in terms of gaining heat, but overall, I wouldn't say it's my favorite. Picking my favorite promo is extremely tough because I love promos. I mean, especially if they turn into a shoot. Shoot promos are just the best. And I mean, if we're going to talk about shoot promos, we can always talk about the one between Paul Heyman and Vince McMahon in 2001. That entire promo is amazing, but I wouldn't really call that one my favorite either. Having a change of heart, I think my favorite promo might be Heyman at One Night Stand '05. Because even though it's not a WWE promo, it's Paul Heyman, and I mean, he just shit on WWE. I mean, come on. It's such a good, it's so hard to not like that promo. He just completely went off, just disrespecting all the WWE wrestlers that were there. Paul Heyman just ripped into those wrestlers. I mean, probably the most famous line is when he was talking to JBL and said, "Since you want to shoot, cowboy, the only reason you were WWE champion for more than a year was because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays." And that line is just relentless. It like, ouch, man. Paul Heyman just is probably my favorite person who isn't a wrestler to work a mic. The man just knows how to get in your head and just can word stuff and change the situation to whatever he wants it to be. And it's no different in this promo. He just makes you actually kind of despise the big dogs, the big wrestlers instead of, and like kind of wish you could cherish more of the underdog and the more low-key ECW product that was being presented, that was always rejected from TV for being too violent and controversial. But Paul Heyman is one of the greatest minds in wrestling as a whole, and with this promo he kind of just set it in stone that regardless of how ECW was going down, it was going down the same way it always was up, and that was with the fight. He just always raunchy and didn't care. Man, just disrespected the hell out of WWE. And for him to do that and still work with WWE and become a commentator for WWE, I think that's pretty funny. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
The guy was always on a different league than most people with the mic. And he's always cut fantastic promos. Going back to the promo with him and Vince in 01, that was an entire shoot. That was a good one because he really tried to drive home the point that Vince made wrestling a dirty word and turned it into sports entertainment. I mean, Paul promos are something else.
I couldn't agree more with you, Mr. DDT. Paul Heyman, fantastic promoter. Might be a bit scummy, but a fantastic promoter and amazing on the mic.
I mean, with all that being said, I mean, do you want to jump us into our next topic, Mr. Host?
I would absolutely love to. Our final little thing we're gonna talk about, because we've been talking for quite a while. Final thing is going to be our favorite storyline in the last 10 years. I don't know if you want to give us your favorite storyline first, or if you want me to, and we end with very likely the best explanation, or how you want to go about this, Mr. DT. It is completely up to you.
I actually don't know what your favorite storyline is, so this is going to be a treat. But I don't think it's going to be the same as mine.
Ooh.
I don't think your pick is going to be the same as mine. We'll see. Because I think I know what yours is. I just don't know for a fact. But my favorite storyline within the past 10 years was the entire storyline between John Cena, CM Punk, and of course just the higher ups of Vince McMahon and Triple H. Because CM Punk, being such a hot wrestler at the time, he was getting big. Like, he was selling more merch than Cena, and fans would lose their mind for him. The entire storyline of him taking the championship as his contract ends at Money in the Bank 2011, the entire buildup was just fantastic. You could just really feel Punk's frustration, where all he wants is one main event at WrestleMania. But for 3 years, it was John Cena in Mania 27, I believe. And then it was Rock, guy who hadn't been around for, I believe, 8 years, host Mania 27. And then he gets a main event spot just because he's The Rock with John Cena, who main evented the previous year, and for a once-in-a-lifetime match. And then after that, they get another main event, both Rock and Cena, again in 2013 for Mania 29. And it didn't matter who was going to be the next hot wrestler, who was ever going to be the biggest, who sold the most stuff, who drew the most money. It was always going to be Rock and Cena because that's what Vince saw and that's what Vince wanted. And it sucks because that's all he wanted. He main evented a few big pay-per-views. He defended his championship. He got a 430-day run with the belt, but he had to drop it to a part-timer. And he had to lose to another part-timer, being Undertaker. And he had to work with Ryback, who was just well known to be unsafe. You could just really feel his entire frustration within all these years. So I know this is going off topic from the storyline that I originally presented of Cena and Punk Money in the Bank, but it just builds up the whole time, and really, because the storyline between Punk and having issue with management was never really it's just real life that he brought into the wrestling world. So it kind of goes on, because I think that's my main storyline, is, if you want to put quotes around that, is Punk against the management. But just for sake, because I did ramble a bit, sorry for that tangent, is just Cena and Punk Money in the Bank 2011, because his contract was going to end, and he actually won the championship and left with it, with his contract expired. They completely killed it, though, when he came back only a few weeks later. Other than that, the storyline is great, and the promos were fantastic, with Cena being able to do fantastic promo work himself. It was Punk just being Punk, and you can't deny his mic ability. Whether you think he's overrated or not, you can't deny the fact that he was really good on that mic. And, I mean, it just all worked out so well, with the guy who was getting big trying to be bigger than the guy who was the face of the company, and still just won the championship and dipped. I mean, what else can you really say?
Can't really say all that much about a storyline you've talked a lot about.
And I mean, with all that being said, what's your favorite storyline? I think I have an idea, but I want to make sure I'm correct.
My favorite storyline, and while Cena and Punk is a fantastic option, I actually did not think of that as an option. There were a few possible contenders for me personally. However, for me, it's going to be one that spans 3 years, technically 4, because it goes before our threshold. But my favorite storyline is technically combining two, even though they lead
then I'm right.
into one another. It is Shawn Michaels and Triple H against The Undertaker. And some people are going to be in the comments, I'm pretty sure, saying, how is that your favorite storyline?
Allow me to interject. I honestly thought your favorite storyline was going to be Daniel Bryan versus The Authority.
I was actually going to.
That's what I actually thought.
I was gonna say that one, but I thought, I don't know if it's as good as I used to think it is. Honestly, I don't know if it is as good as I and many other people think it was.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
that's a hot take.
Yeah, I mean, Hot Take Hockey's not here, but we got Hot Take Wrestling right here, I guess.
Yeah, don't worry. I was going to make a joke like that, but I didn't want to disappoint your audience.
That's what I'm here for. No, but getting
sadly
getting back on this, ignoring my flaming hot takes that we're just going to completely ignore, and let it fuel up for another video that we're totally going to clickbait. Shawn Michaels and Triple H against The Undertaker. The fact that the storyline starts at WrestleMania 29, I'm counting from the Slammies onwards. Shawn Michaels accepts the Slammy Award for the best match of the year against The Undertaker at that Mania, cuts a fantastic promo about how he wants just one more chance against The Undertaker. He'll put his career on the line. He'll do this, he'll do that, and he gets his match. He gets Mania 26 against The Undertaker and loses. And there's this big ceremony for Shawn Michaels. He's retiring, loses to The Undertaker. The streak continues. And then and then bragging rights 2010, the Nexus bury the Undertaker, literally bury him alive, and the Undertaker disappears until the February 22nd, 2011 episode of Raw. Undertaker returns, and right as he gets in the ring, Triple H's theme hits. He comes out, no words are exchanged. Look up to the WrestleMania 27 sign, and the match is made official. That is one of the greatest segments in wrestling history, and there were no words, because you know the history of Triple H and Undertaker already. Triple H and Shawn Michaels being legit buddy-buddy, Triple H being the CEO, The Undertaker being the most legendary wrestler of all time, and you know what Triple H wants without saying any words. The build up to that Mania 27 match, and the match itself was fantastic. Of course, Triple H using the tombstone on The Undertaker, Taker kicking out, the crowd going wild in Atlanta, Georgia, and just having that match, and the aftermath of The Undertaker needing to be carried out while Triple H walks away from that match. It was such a fantastic point. And Mania 28, the build up, having Triple H and The Undertaker, Triple H refusing a rematch with The Undertaker until Shawn Michaels almost forces Triple H into that, and Shawn becomes the referee. And I've already expressed how that is my favorite match of all time, Mania 28, Hell in a Cell. But the entire build-up, the 4-year build-up from WrestleMania 25 to WrestleMania 28, this match could have main evented, and it should have main evented Mania 28. That was a fantastic match. The build-up was incredibly worth it. I don't think I need to say anything more. Go watch the segments and the promos between these guys. They are fantastic, and the build-up to this match entirely is fantastic. So while it might not relate to real life, kind of like Mr. DDT's did, mine is more based in wrestling. Not saying it's better, obviously, but mine is more based within wrestling and a story of what it's telling, rather than bringing real life into wrestling, which is still nuts to do and still a fantastic story. But this one is my personal favorite storyline in the last 10 years.
I actually completely forgot about that one. Still reconsidering, I still think Cena and Punk Money in the Bank 2011 is my favorite than the past 10 years. But I highly respect your choice. It just gave you a different feeling, because it's goosebumps every time Taker kicked out, or if Triple H kicked out of a big spot he shouldn't have. It just gives it that much more power of being a great storyline and or match. It's just legendary feud. That's all you can really say. Legendary feud.
That's all you can say is legendary feud. Easily. That's all you can say.
Oh yeah, for sure. Those are big names. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and The Undertaker. Those are huge names. And it's hard to not recognize that as the best storyline within the past 10 years, but something about Punk and Cena will always get to me, man. So while I heavily respect it, I just disagree.
And I can absolutely understand why, man. There's a lot of storylines in the last 10 years, mostly in the first half, that have been fantastic, and there probably was a bunch of other choices that we could have gone with. But I think the two that we choose are
for sure. I know we forgot some, but for sure. Yeah, we did talk about wrestling a lot, man. This was a fun thing to do.
It was.
I hope it turns out well.
Me too, man. I'm sure it will.
For
no matter who edits it. Hashtag sponsor my editor. I'm sure no matter who edits this is going to be a pretty damn solid video.
All jokes aside, this was a lot of fun to do. I'm really happy I did it. It's always fun talking wrestling with my buddy. And it's always because we did find out something new about each other's wrestling taste, whether it was a favorite match, promo, or wrestler, or a favorite storyline. It's always good insight, and it just feels good to find something new about someone who you thought you knew a lot about because of how you originally met, but things change over a few years. And
yeah,
This was just a lot of fun to do. I'm glad I did it. It's just,
Yeah,
I
thank
mean,
you.
DDT is in my name. I'm a big wrestling fan. So
Yeah, and thank you very much, man, for coming up on the channel and doing this. I would love to have you again in the future. Whether you want to do some more wrestling content, do something interesting instead, maybe something non-wrestling. I don't know what that could be, but something.
I don't mind doing another wrestling video sometime in the future. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I mean, we'll figure something out for sure.
Yeah, man, would love to. Like I said, would love to get you on the channel, no matter what it is. I'd love to get you on the channel again, man.
Well, I'm always open, man. Just make sure to message me, and I'll do my best.
Hey, all right, man. That's gonna do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, favorite, share and everything, which includes but is not limited to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and everything else. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to Mr. DDT Regulator. His channel is going to be in the description below. He posts not too often, streams occasionally. Yeah, go check him out. He's got some pretty damn good content. He hopefully will start streaming and making some videos again soon, because I quite enjoyed what he did. If you guys agree, please, like I said, go subscribe to him. The dude, he just hit 350 subs. Let's go try and push him to 400 subs. I think that'd be a pretty damn cool thing to do. If some of you guys could go over and sub to him. Links in the description aside from Mr. DDT's channel are going to be my Twitter and my Twitch. My Twitter, I don't use it all right now. Twitch, I do want to start using, though, with some PS4 games, see how it works compared to YouTube streaming there. I also have my big-ass donor board, big-ass not donor board of non-donations. If you do want to send anything via PayPal, Amazon wishlist, or PO box is greatly appreciated. I am showing the board, however my webcam is not up, so you cannot see the big-ass non-donor board of not donations. But Mr. DDT is correct. He is the Mr. DDT that did donate 2 times to me, which is greatly appreciated. Absolute legend. If you do send anything my way via the PayPal, you will get your name you will get the big ass non-donor board of non-donations in the background of the next 25 Days of Harry video, and also the next stream. The reason I do both is because the streams typically look bad, so the next video is to make up for it. Amazon wishlist, PO box, send anything my way in the month of December and or November, but that's to discuss for next year. Typically, I will open everything on a Christmas Day live stream, which is going to be coming, whether I do have anything to open or not. It'll be pretty fun. I'm sure some of you guys are going to show up for that. That would be really, really fun. But yeah, there's that. Any other month, I'd make a video of me unboxing whatever it is, if anyone does send me anything. I also have my speedrunning account. Once I get a PS2 controller that works with my computer, I do want to start doing some more speedruns and doing some video game videos. That would be pretty fun, I think. Maybe collaborating with Mr. DDT on a couple of those. Wink, wink. I also have my Discord. If you guys want to join that, it is pretty cool. I notify most of the time whenever I stream and post a video, I should say. I also chat in there once in a while with some of you guys. It's pretty fun. It gets pretty cool in there sometimes. And the last thing I have in the description is my letterbox. You can check it out if you want to know what movies I love. Unless you'd rather check out the video I made for Christmas Day last year, which may or not be on my top 100 movies of all time of 2019, or if you want to wait till the end of the year, which is just going to be a day or two short right now, you can check out the top 100 movies of all time of 2020. I do have that. I also have movies I hate in the description. If you want to check that out, you can go right ahead and do so. That would be greatly appreciated, and I'm sure it'd be a pretty fun look at to see what movies I hate and what movies I love compared to other people. So that's going to do it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Harry Rice. What is my guest's name one final time?
I'm DDT Regulator.
You want to do this last part with me, homie?
Nah, I think it's best left to the professional.
So you're doing it then.
Shut up.
Alright. And we are out. Peace.
That would have been a good spot to end the stream